It is amazing what can happen when one person doggedly, tirelessly insists on a vision.
Oh, it's a total transformation.
That's what happened with the Tivoli Theater.
He has an empire that he's built here along the Loop.
All thanks to a man who, among other things, seems to hate talking about himself.
Thanks for coming to this tribute to Joe Edwards.
Yes, Joe Edwards, the Duke of Delmar, as some have called him. He was honored by the St. Louis International Film Festival for his work on the Tivoli Theater. But if you ask him to talk about what he did, the first thing he wants to discuss is them.
It's a wonderful honor. I mean, the St. Louis International Film Festival is spectacular. It's known around the country and around the world, and in its 27 years, it's one of the greatest things in the arts scene in St. Louis.
But the folks from the festival are happy to tell you what this developer/community icon did to allow the festival to be what it is today.
The Tivoli is sort of fest central for us. It's the single most beautiful movie theater in St. Louis, and Joe was the rescuer of the Tivoli. It was threatened with extinction. I mean, not only was it not going to necessarily be a movie house, but that whole building was sort of teetering on the brink as to whether or not it was going to survive at all. And when the sign got hung up in the box office, closed forever, Joe saw it and said, this will not stand.
What Joe is happy to discuss is the work, the projects, and the stories behind them. The Tivoli's quite a story.
I did not realize there are 3.5 feet of standing water in the basements. I didn't realize that there was a hole in the roof over the stage where pigeons would fly in and out, and there were like 8 or 10 inches of pigeon droppings all over the stage, that type of thing. That was a surprise.
Revival required an attention to detail that some might say borders on obsessive.
I always try to do things in a first-class way, and it was real important to me when I was going to renovate the Tivoli to do it in a first-class way. And there were 200 molds made for the different medallions and lattice work pieces that have been destroyed over the years. The sign was no longer there, the vertical sign that's such a landmark sign, 29 feet tall. I replicated that within 1/4 of an inch based on old photographs and freed up the marquee again and built the box office. And then in the main theater, freed up those beautiful centerpieces in the ceiling that were covered up by ductwork of all things. And it's really a classy 1924 movie theater.
Of course, that theater is just part of the revival of what was a pretty run-down Delmar Loop when Edwards bought Blueberry Hill back in the 1970s. Now, his fingerprints are on almost every major development along the always busy stretch. If you like music, there's the Pageant in Delmar Hall. The Moonrise Hotel has become a major draw. Bowlers have a spot to gravitate toward, and business along these blocks is simply on fire, almost literally. And you can't forget the St. Louis Walk of Fame, which has become a major attraction too.
It gives me a joyful feeling to see the Delmar Loop coming back like it's come back.
And the man who always seems to have a project isn't done. Miniature golf with a Ferris wheel inside is next on tap.
About a year from now, the Magic Mini Golf will open across from the Moonrise Hotel and the Pageant. I always try to create places that people can have fun and put their troubles behind them for a couple hours and enjoy life and play games that aren't difficult to play. You don't have to be good, in other words, to play them. They might be difficult, but you don't have to be good to enjoy them.
Edwards has made a living and a legacy on keeping St. Louis entertained. That legacy was bolstered on this night with clips from some of Joe's favorite movies.
Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine.
And tributes from those who know him best.
The place it is today is primarily because of Joe. Joe has a vision and the drive.
It's all enough to get the guy who usually looks to share the spotlight to talk a little about himself.
I just thank you. My heart is big tonight.